give our draft 15 minutes included.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's meeting. We have one item on the agenda to do a routine moving some appropriated balances so that we can have greater flexibility of using that money for 2014. Good and welfare is going to be our first item on the agenda. We're opening good and welfare for only 15 minutes. So if anybody would like to speak, please be advised that there are other people who want to speak, but we're going to be closing good and welfare at exactly 6:16. First person? Would anyone like to speak? Ma'am in the front.
Lois Gannett, Teaneck. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Deputy Mayor, council members. I thank you for your service and I wish you all a happy new year. I would like to stress the Route 4 billboard proposal. I am unutterably opposed to it. No amount of money could compensate for the loss of pride and pleasure provided to Teaneck's residents by the marvelous oasis of non-commercialism on the Teaneck portion of Route 4. Please do not destroy what we treasure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item. Next person. Howard.
Howard Rose, resident. The motion that you have before you this evening, I've heard people talking about it. It seems a little controversial. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm concerned, though, by a couple of related items to that, which is these funds have been around for a while. They've been encumbered in one direction, they're being encumbered in another. Well, why did it take this long? How do you kind of so belatedly, accounting-wise, find what to me is a fairly large sum of money? So everyone's aware of it, everyone knows it's there, but we're taking action at the last minute with an emergency meeting for which people don't get substantially advanced notice. And again, not saying it's right or wrong, but something may be correct, appropriate, and legal, and maybe not unethical. I'm not going to use the word ethical. But sometimes the concern is also the impropriety of appearance. And none of us should be here this evening on New Year's Eve. I just wish that this would have been accomplished, accommodated, if appropriate, and desired and necessary, at a much earlier time.
Thank you. As I said to everybody, please, the next person would like to speak, and welfare is going to be closed at 6:16. So, next person who'd like to speak, Barbara.
Yes, ex-council member.
Right.
Barbara Toffler, and I will take a very short time. First of all, Mr. Ruff, why are we only having 15 minutes of good and welfare this evening?
You don't have to
Including an hour.
I believe your question should be addressed to the chair.
Okay, Chair. Mayor, why are we only having 15 minutes of good and welfare? Many people came and they do want to speak. Two, I second what Mr. Rosa said. This is very peculiar that, whoops, $630,000 just popped up and we couldn't deal with it before because we did indeed know exactly what a complement of employees was. And I second Mrs. Gannett as well on the billboards. I don't want to take the time, but I want to know why we don't have an hour of good and welfare, because all these people are here to speak this evening.
Next person, please. Alan.
Alan, 17th resident. I think it really is remarkable that for a meeting that in no way, shape, or form was publicized, and in fact every effort was made to not have the public know about this. I passed by the billboard on in front of the building, which still says that there's a meeting out of December 17th. I assume that's not next December 17th, but the one that passed by. This is a pretty good compliment for a meeting that really was not publicized, that everyone expects no one would attend. There's $630,000 that was budgeted this year, including $400,000 for police officers. At the low end of the salary scale, that's 12 police officers. At the top end, that's 4 police officers. We have the money set aside for the purpose of providing protection to the public. Why wasn't it spent for that purpose? If it was never going to be spent, and a very good argument could be made for that, let's set it aside and let's put that money away. But 12 police officers or 4 police officers at the top end adds a number of police officers to each shift. Where is that coming from? Why are we finding out this now? Where did the billboard ordinance come from? All of a sudden, from the sky, fully formed, we see a billboard ordinance with, again, no publicity, no public notice. This is part of the pattern that started with the 4-day work week. There's a pattern going on where, again, I think the public is concerned. And the fact there are so many people showing up on New Year's Eve is indicative of the pattern that we're going to see starting next year, starting January 7th, of the changes that have to occur in this council. Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Jane Erling. I'd like to read a poem by Ogden Nash which expresses my feelings about the billboards. I think that I shall never see a billboard lovely as a tree. Perhaps, unless the billboards fall, I'll never see a tree at all. Billboards? Seriously? Thank you.
Next. Anyone? Art?
Thank you, Art Vatsky, Teaneck. And I'm going to continue some of the remarks, speaking spontaneously. But I have to agree with Alan Stone. This council, and this administration, you have a transparency problem. The rest of us don't feel informed about the logic and the reason, the themes behind the actions you take. It's not for a town of a city, really, of 40,000 people, nearly 40,000. We need to see the powers that be why things are happening. And I sometimes feel that, as was said, things come out of the woodwork. What I've said in my letters and to my emails to you, well, I'll speak about that also, is that you get the sense there's a Mr. Big. There's some unmentioned Mr. Big who doesn't want his bus shelter, something as mundane as a bus shelter at the busiest bus stop on Cedar Lane. There's a Mr. Big who overlooks something. There's a Mr. Big who wants these billboards. We don't hear you discuss these options. We don't hear you discuss. It just happens that it's a motion. It's a resolution. So we don't feel we're in control of you. You were elected by us. You weren't elected by Mr. Big, whoever he is or she is. I don't want to feel that I'm in a town that's run by somebody else other than the public. You're supposed to reflect our needs. An example would be the new fields. The new fields, the money was for the new fields. It wasn't for all the amenities in the fields. It was meant for the playing grounds. But yet, those took off, and I do recall Deputy Mayor Gusson describing what extras there would be, and I can understand why people would think building the fields and building the brick walls and building the new sidewalks and building other things that really seem nice if you could do it. But there's other needs in Teaneck. Okay? There's a lot of buildings that are municipal, that are falling apart. And it really surprised me that there was such an overemphasis on one facility at the expense of the others. Including this building. When Teaneck wants to move fast, it can, it does. It's moving fast with the expansion of this building. I wonder how many municipalities in the state of New Jersey, municipalities with a steady population rate, are expanding their municipal facilities the way this town is. I wonder if you thought about the impact of $4 million on the people of Teaneck in the short term or in the long term of this building. 10 years from now, I think that building is going to be vacant. There's just this, with the way technology advances, there may not be any need for that building for municipal purposes. Hopefully we'll rent it out.
In 3 minutes, he's stopping.
Stop it.
Oh, I'm in the 5-minute habit. I'll sit down. Thank you. Happy New Year. What I say is to the council is, personally, we're okay.
Anyone else?
Oh,
Mr. Powers?
yeah, we gave us 16, 15 minutes.
I directly challenge the legality of what you're doing tonight. I have the agenda here. There's nothing here suggesting that this is a 15-minute operation. The code calls for an hour of good and welfare. There is absolutely no justification for it. I know that our good friend here, our associate counsel, will come up with some rationale for it, but I directly challenge it. You are having 5 meetings in the next month and 4 days, which are not covered, as this meeting is not tonight, by video. You are carrying out a sneaky operation for making sure that the public doesn't know about it, and actually living in direct violation, Mr. Stern, of what you promised, that there would not be budgets with huge surpluses of the sort that you are using to try to protect yourselves in next year's election. This is outrageous. I directly challenge it, and I may challenge it legally as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for one more person. Mr. Castle.
Happy holidays. I don't think anyone said that yet. Jason Castle, Teaneck. Like many of you, I took statistics in high school, and in the grand scheme of a $70 million budget, $630,000 is probably around here, right? But it's still $630,000. It's less than 1%. Less than 1%. That sounds good in the press, but $630,000, that's larger than the average home price in Teaneck. What I am struggling to understand is how we over-budgeted $400,000 for police salaries and over-budgeted for wages and salaries, because like many of you have jobs, and your jobs probably operate on quarters. Each quarter, a business does a reassessment and says, we didn't spend this money, we're going to shift it forward. Or we're over-budgeting. I think that sometime before December 27th, we probably knew that we had over-budgeted on salaries by $630,000, and that probably could have been addressed. If not, then, Mr. Broughton, maybe, the CFO, it's a chief financial officer. There's got to be something here forecasting. That's what we talk about in business. And if the forecasting didn't happen, or we didn't recognize that there wasn't an overage or surplus until, as I'm being told, December 27th, I think that's a problem. That's mismanagement. That's egregious mismanagement. That's almost irresponsible. Beyond that, I understand that on December 13th, we announced a bid. We announced a bid that was closing on December 31st. And if we use Teaneck business days, that was about 8.5 business days in Teaneck that someone actually had to gather the materials from the clerk for what the bid was for payroll software and respond to it. It seems as if it's being done so it can happen in this fiscal year. But if it's payroll software and it's going to actually save the township money, maybe it's something that could be pushed into the next fiscal year. I agree with some of the sentiments of people who have spoken this evening, that there is this illusion that things are being pushed through, the lack of a camera here tonight, the lack of transparency, the fact that we're here at 5 hours and 45 minutes until the new year talking about $630,000 that was not spent. That's going to, if I understand it correctly, and Mr. Mayor, you can clear this up for me, this money is going to be sent into surplus, and surplus is one of those areas of our government or our budget that the public actually has very little input, and that there's a lot of discretion on behalf of the town as to how that's going to be spent. The last thing is, as Mr. Powers so eloquently stated, and Councilman Stern, you promised to not approve budgets that allowed for surpluses. And though it is less than 1%, it's still $630,000. So if for no one else, if there's no one else, at least the deputy mayor didn't vote for the budget last year. I was here for that meeting. But if there's no one else, perhaps you can make a statement or explain how a surplus of $630,000 ended up in this year's budget.
30 seconds?
5 hours and 45 minutes.
Thank you.
before the
Good
meeting.
Thank you so much. Good welfare is now
I
closed.
have a question about good and welfare.
You can challenge it as you said.
No,
you're open.
no,
Ma'am, this-
you have
this meeting is
15
now
minutes.
over. This good and welfare is now
15 minutes
over.
in a workshop.
Good
We
and
do not
welfare
have
is
workshop
now
meetings.
over.
We do not have workshop meetings. 15 minutes for a workshop,
You do
1
not-
hour
you do not-
for a meeting.
I have to call, I mean, we're in-
You want to call the police to have me removed, you can do that. Mayor Hamidudin.
Please, I'm going to address the council to everything, and I can see you
People are
again
waiting here to
addressing
speak.
and, you know.
And they are
posing for the
legally
camera.
allowed to speak. Is
Fine,
that
you
not
can
the
challenge
case,
it.
Mr. Rupp?
Here's where-
Mr. Rupp, is that not the
This
case?
is what we're going to be in for the next
Please
4
speak the
months.
truth, Mr.
For
Rupp.
election cycle, I
Please
guess.
speak the
Now,
truth.
I'm going to speak very clearly about people who were here during the budget process who understood that once the last time, the reason why we have these positions that weren't filled was we had a hiring freeze. We talked about that at a meeting here where we had a hiring freeze. That's where we budgeted for these positions and we did not fill them because of the tax appeals. We're moving this money over so that we have greater flexibility when the tax appeals come in this month so that they can come in. In regards to the billboards, ma'am, we're in a chicken and the egg first scenario with this. Nothing's set in stone about what we're doing with the billboards, but we'd like to see what kind of RFPs and how much revenue we could get so that we can say either, you know what, we're not willing to spend money on billboards, or, you know, this is something that we have to look at and say, you know what, we really have to move these things forward. Now, as we go into election cycle, and, you know, Alan's here, Teaneck 2020 is here, I'm very happy Barbara Toffler is here. Because on August 23rd, Barbara Toffler put a statement out on the Teaneck patch that said, I was questioned in the murder of Joan Davis from the Teaneck Police Department. I have it, even though you deleted it, I still have it. Thank you so much, because on August 23rd, everybody come. So I hope that you guys, as we go in this town, that you call
I
Alan.
should
like
be
you were
able to
saying.
say that I was told that,
Saying
let me just
So
say
that,
that
so
I
you
was
can
told
not
that.
so you can, you know,
Live.
everybody can talk about what Councilwoman Toffler says and what she puts out in the public sphere. Because it's election season and that's what you guys want to do. So now with that, I think I've answered the questions about where the $630,000 came from, why it's been budgeted, when we had the hiring freeze, and as well as the billboards, and all of her theatrics that she's done for the last 20 minutes. So with that, if anybody else would like to move this resolution so that we can vote on it and move forward.
Mr. Mayor, is there any additional people that would like to speak? 2 people, can we just allow them to speak?
Are you making a motion to
Yes.
open it up for 2 people?
For 2 people, yes.
Or
If there are
for
2
2 people?
individuals, if there are 2 individuals that have expressed that they would like to speak, for the record, I indicated to yourself and to the manager, I attend watch night service, which is an African-American tradition on New Year's Eve, so I will be leaving at 6:30. I apologize I was late, but I had to get myself and my daughter ready so that I could get to service. But in all fairness, if it's only 2 people who would like to speak, let them speak so we can move this agenda forward.
Sir, we need everybody just a voice. I agree. Okay.
Thank you. I'll be very brief. My name is Nick Lento. I'm from Cliffside Park, New Jersey. I have friends in Teaneck, and I care about what happens to this town. My basic point, because I'm not aware of all the other issues regarding the signs and the surplus, although it seems funny that the surplus all ends in like 4 zeros. Anyway, the thing is, this document, which was given to us to read, you know, in the front of the desk here, it says, Mayor, to declare that any members of the public wishing to be heard at this time shall come forward and state their names for the record. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. And then it says, or the time limit of 1 hour having expired. So this document, which is the record of what the rules of this particular meeting are, is in writing. You put it out there in front for everybody to see. And the first thing you do when the meeting starts is you violate the terms of the document. I just think that I don't know if that's legal or not, I'm not an attorney, but it sure seems kind of unethical, and it makes you look terrible. As far as the other things are concerned, I'll let whoever's going to speak next address those. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In the back.
Margaret Fisher, resident of Teaneck, and a member of the school board. As of today is my last day as an official member of the school board. I'm surprised, Mr. Hamidudin, that you didn't recognize me. I am going to just echo what people have been talking about, transparency. And as a member of the school board, I can say that I am really amazed at the extent of the only word I can come up with is obfuscation on this. The surplus is not so much the issue. The issue is that as of December 17th, you wouldn't have already dealt with it. It's amazing to me that at the end of the year that you don't have somebody going over again. On the school board, I'm sure you guys do things differently, but we go over our budget every month. So this would have been known, and it would not have been necessary to call an emergency meeting on New Year's Eve, clearly not only inconveniencing the public or keeping the public in the dark, but inconveniencing one of 7 council members. You barely had a quorum when this meeting started. I just find it astonishing that you guys do business this way, that you're okay with it. And there really is a pattern here, repeatedly, of, I'm going to just come out right out and say it because I've heard it from you individually at various points. If not actual lying, then certainly a lack of telling the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Mr. Gusson, you were at a school board meeting recently where you did precisely that, where you told half the story about the rowing club volunteering to build a dock in the Hackensack River, and you told the story as though the rowing club rescinded their offer, when you know perfectly well, and it's in your resolution of rescission of the offer, that the primary reason, and they were willing to build it even without building a boathouse, the primary reason that they rescinded it was because the retaining wall that the township had built was destroyed by, I believe it was Hurricane Irene, and has still not been repaired. Yet when you came and spoke to the school board, you cast this as though it was somehow bad faith on the part of the rowing club. And I just have to say that I see a pattern of bad faith on the part of several council members toward all of the taxpayers of Teaneck. Thank you.
Thank you. The welfare is now closed. Would anyone like to comment on the resolution?
If the manager could just explain.
I can add something to the discussion here. This resolution allows the township additional flexibility in meeting its financial obligations. As you said, Mayor, we had discussions about this months ago, and we had it during budget season where we discussed what we would do with certain positions. We put on a hiring freeze. We knew that there would be additional funds there, and we would allocate those funds towards tax appeals. Someone brought up something about police officers and 12 police officers. That's not true. We're down 2 police officers. So this is going to give us the additional flexibility that we need to deal with the obligations of tax appeal refunds. Also, we did not receive the tax appeal refund judgments until December 23rd. So we could not have taken action at the meeting on the 17th.
For this purpose, for this specific purpose.
Yes, for this purpose. Also, the greater flexibility is that your surplus, the surplus for 2013 would roll over and normally be available for 2015. This cancellation is allowing it to be available for use in 14. So it gives us greater flexibility in meeting our obligations.
Okay.
And is there a reason for this is not typical to have this amount of overage in salary and wages. Is there a reason why there is this year?
Well, I mean, some of the positions, we had a freeze. We purposely did not.
I wasn't here.
Right.
I don't know if this is stated.
Yeah, no, we had a freeze.
I'm asking for it to be stated
Yes.
publicly.
Yes, we had a freeze, and we intentionally did not fill certain positions.
I just wanted it to be a matter of record.
Yes,
Mr. Manager, the question of, I'm not sure it really makes a difference, but one of the whereases in the resolution says that the unexpended balance is being credited to surpluses. Should that be fund balance?
That is the same. They're the same. They're the same thing. Interchangeable, those terms. Also, let me just add one other thing. There was a comment brought up about the school board. school boards are treated differently than municipalities in dealing with a surplus. School board wouldn't have to do this.
Go ahead.
Just one note on this. If we remember from the budget meeting last year, where we budgeted for these positions and at the same time declared a hiring freeze, I spoke against that at the time. If the budget had gone the way, or at least some of the way I wanted it to go last year, these funds would already be in reserve, would never have been slated for salary positions, and this meeting would not be necessary. Those funds would be in reserve and would be available for 2014. Again, so this is, I think, something that we need to do, but it's something that we didn't need to do if my colleagues had taken my lead on this 10 months ago. Thank you.
So would someone like to move the resolution?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Parker?
Yes.
Councilmember Stern?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Beckman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Pat?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye. Wishing you a happy and healthy New Year.
Good night.